Confidence isn't something you are born with, it's something you build. Hi, guys. How are you all doing? My goodness. Last week, for those that were here, it was rough. Just a little awareness of what happened. I was hacked last week, and a couple things had to change. And we have to start from scratch. What I mean by that is YouTube was fine, TikTok was fine, but my Instagram page was hacked. So we're going through a couple of changes. Some of you might have noticed that, some of you might have not. I'm going to leave right here my new Instagram handle for those that wish to follow the page. And just a quick breathe through. Some things are going to change. There's not going to be two Instagram accounts, only one Instagram account. And if you want to know a bit more about what happened, I'm going to leave on the icon right here for your pleasure to see exactly what happened and tell you how it happened. But today, we are here to talk about confidence. In specific, how to step into the power of your confidence. So, I'm going to break it down for you in steps. I'm going to teach you the science behind confidence and what it truly means. Because I feel like everyone needs a little boost and a little bit of knowledge to actually figure out how to step up their game and step up in their life. So, shall we step into another new confident you? Then come on in. So, what is confidence? Really? What is it? So, if we actually look at the dictionary, it tells you about the fact that it's a feeling of a knowing. It's an inner trust, but it's not arrogant. It's not an up nose real high. I am the almighty person. It is a feeling of innate capability, of innate trust within oneself. But a lot of people struggle with that. It's one of the biggest struggles that we talk about. As a nutrition student studying medicine and studying the ability of people associated with an act like eating, you know that confidence has a very big impact when it comes to how a person eats. The least amount of confidence that you have, the less your self esteem is going to be associated. And that tends to turn into different forms of ED, so eating disorders. And I know that I cannot do a video without mentioning the fact that everything around us does affect day by day how we feel about ourselves and how we react upon how we feel within ourselves. Because if confidence is about an inner trust and an inner knowing without being arrogant, without showing an image of what we aren't and trying to put up a mask and actually just stepping up and being ourselves, then how can we, even though everything is going on, even though things are going that are out of our control, how can we make sure that within ourselves we are still confident in what we choose, in what we do, and who we are? So let's break it down. So, as you guys know, I love my science back things. So, if I look over here, is because I'm reading my notes and I want to make sure that I quote things right. So, in a Harvard Business Review study, showed that confidence is more predictive of success than competence because confident people are more likely to try, to speak up, and lead. So, some examples that they actually pointed out was everyday things like speaking in class, applying for a job, etc. Another thing that I also found was Dr. Amy Cuddy's research on body language specifically. The power poses can actually shift your hormones, and this was in a Harvard study from 2012. Basically, holding a power pose for 2 minutes increases testosterone, which is a dominance feeling, and decreases cortisol, the stress hormone. For those that don't know, the power poses is the one where you put your hands on your hips and then you kind of roll out your shoulders and you puff out your chest, and your legs are normally spread apart. That is because your body associates that type of pose with an innate feeling associated with back in the days with how our leaders used to stand. Because for those that haven't realized that, we have evolved somewhat. We have evolved somewhat, and we don't have certain necessities that we used to have, like people having to lead us and having to be in populations of groups and having someone guide us to catch prey and to be able to feed ourselves. Nowadays, you can just go to the supermarket. But we still have that innate feeling of needing to step up into confidence because confidence automatically associates with self esteem. So, how do we do that? First of all, confidence and being loud and extroverted are two separate things. You could be a loud, extroverted person and have absolutely no confidence. And you could have quite an amount of confidence and be the introverted, quiet person. A very good example that I can give you to make you realize that is some people think that celebrities and people in the social sphere that constantly are having their pictures taken or videos taken or have their lives out in the open, that they are confident. Not always. You can have the capability of what we call masking or putting on a mask. A lot of people describe this, especially in their jobs. I can tell you that from myself. I have to put up a certain mask, a certain personality, a certain version of myself to a crowd to be able to maybe cope with a stressful situation. For example, I work part time in a shop selling items, and sometimes we have complaints. When I have a complaint from a client, what I tend to do is to put up this mask where inside of my brain I am envisioning like being the manager or being super confident or being this like stoic person. And that is because for me emotionally, it's a way of separating my person, my emotion from whatever the client is feeling. Because when you are working in these types of jobs, you have to create that barrier because it's not about you, it's about them. They are projecting the feelings that they're feeling towards you. So you creating that separation, it's a way of you creating boundaries. Now, is it the most healthiest thing? No. But is it a coping mechanism for stressful situations? Yes. But we're not talking about putting in a mask and stepping into a personality when it comes to confidence. We want innate confidence. We want innate trust and this feeling, like this true confidence coming out of ourselves. And that is literally what it is. Confidence is about self trust, is about trusting in your capabilities, is about trusting in yourself, is about trusting in what you do and what you like and what you wish and what you want, is fully and fundamentally about self trust. So, how can we go ahead and make this feeling be stronger and be more definitive? But first, we need to talk about the confidence myth. You are not just naturally that way. No, you are not born with it. It is something that you build upon its steps. It's not something that just simply clicks. It's not something that it just falls off into your lap. It is something that you need to go ahead and take time to actually change, to actually build it. So, how do we do that? First, we need to understand the myths and the errors associated with it. First, we need to understand that there's a thing called learned confidence and innate confidence. Some people have this innate confidence about themselves because maybe they had people surrounding them that made them trust themselves. Maybe because they were always told that they were good looking, maybe because they were told they always had good grades because they were good in school, and those things innately create a sense of self-trust. So there's an innate confidence in one's abilities. A good example of that is for people that are in a field for a prolonged period of time. For example, if you're a professor for 20, 30, 40 years, you have an innate confidence in your skills because you have been doing them for so long. And then you have the learned confidence. One example of that everyone has experienced is the first steps. When you're a child and you're growing up, you go through the motions of not being able to sit, not being able to stand, then not being able to crawl. And then eventually, once you reach as close as possible to walking, everyone is waiting for you to take your first steps. And you may get up and then you get scared and you sit back down, or you lift your foot, but then you fall. And when you finally take those first steps, you are still going to be scared because before that, you kept falling. But what happens? Most children, they will keep trying and eventually they'll get into the motion, they'll start walking, and by the time that you notice, the parents get his major concern is them not running because after that, no one stops them. And that is a learned confidence. You learn to trust in the fact that you have the capability of taking a step. From taking a step, you realize that you can walk. And then once you learn how to walk, you start to have the confidence to run. So that is a learned type of confidence. And through that, you also get innate confidence because you innately know that you can walk. There's things that if you ask yourself, you are innately confident about. Maybe in your work, maybe in your daily life, maybe in your children, maybe in your partner. Whoever it is, there is something that you're innately confident about, something that you innately have trust for. Maybe you're trusting that you live in a country that is safe. Maybe you're innately trusting that your house roof is not going to come off. It's not something that you're concerned with. So it's an innate confidence. Now, how can we translate something that we're confident in to be confident with in ourselves? Now, that is a hard part that a lot of people tend to have. We can be trusting of others, we can have confidence in someone else, but trust in us, oof, we have a hard time. So, shall we break it down then? First of all, we need to get rid of a thing, the fear of judgment. That is the hardest thing, is the idea that someone else is looking at what we are doing, judging us, looking at us, figuring out what we are doing. And then we get small. And then we cocoon. And then we don't know what to do. But we do. Because let's be honest, who cares? We judge other people. The human being is that way. We judge everyone. Take a moment to think. If you spend a moment judging someone else or concerned that someone else is judging you, and then you proceed to take that in, that is an issue that you need to fix. If someone else judges you and you're not doing anything wrong, it's their problem. It's not a you problem, it's a their problem. If they judge you for something that you are doing that does not affect them, that is a they problem, not a you problem. That is one thing. And also, I don't know about you, but I am way too busy on my day-to-day life to be worried about someone else's judgment of my life. Because if For example, if you work, if you study, if you have kids, if you have home, if you have to pay your bills, if you have to go and walk the dog, if you have people to take care of, family to take care of, do you even have time to think about what the other person is thinking in their own head about you? And if it's even about you? Because if you are busy with your own life, other people are too. So if they're also busy with their own lives, they don't have time to judge you. 9 times out of 10, the fear of judgment is the assumption that people are judging you. And believe me, I've had that happen very recently when it came to colleagues of mine. I had colleagues of mine that they had to go and record at a supermarket, a very public place, and they had to record for school. So there's that concern of like, oh my God, what are people thinking of me speaking out loud into a phone because I need to record this clip for my communication class? They might look at you weird. They might just ignore you. They might think it's normal. They might just be okay with it because they've seen other people do it. There might be one or two people that might judge you and be like, what the heck is this person doing? But their judgment is literally going to last 3 to 5 seconds. And they're going to go on their merry way lives because they're going to be more concerned about the other person at the end of the corridor that gave them a weird look because they're now thinking that that other person judged them. And that just turns into a loop of people thinking everyone is judging each other. When sometimes we are just so way deep into our own lives that we don't have the time. So if you start thinking that everyone around you is way too concerned with their lives and they don't have time to judge you, then how can you have the fear of judgment? Believe it or not, but that's how I see it. How can I be fearful of someone judging me if they're too in over their heads and they have way too many things to be preoccupied to take the time to actually judge me more than 3 seconds? They don't. They might judge me for 3 seconds and then they keep it pushing because they have other concerns. They have other things in life that take up more space than judging me. And that includes you. Other people have way too many things going on in their life to be spending the whole day judging you. Another thing is also culture. The reality here is that culture also depends on how you see confidence. Some people may see confidence, especially when it comes to women, as something arrogant, as something not good, or maybe even bitchy, because they assume that the image of confidence correlated with arrogance. And you associate the idea of confidence with the popular girls in school that look like the mean girls, all dressed in pink, perfect hairs, perfect makeup, perfect this, perfect that, walking down the halls, being arrogant to everyone, and having this air of superiority. Guess what? That's not confidence. That's just arrogance. That's just feeling superior than others, thinking you're better than others. And the whole point of confidence is not you thinking that you're better than anyone else. It's just trusting in what your capabilities are, in what you can do. And the reality here is that people are going through their lives assuming that confidence is arrogance. And that is not true. So let's shift that idea and let's rewrite what confidence is. Another thing that I want you to let go is the inner beliefs. The I'm not good enough, the I'm too much. And I know that unfortunately that's associated with the people around you. If you have a partner that turns to you and says, you're too much, maybe they are too little. And I have to say, and I gotta quote it, I love the new Dove Cameron song Too Much because it literally is the anthem for this relationship disparity where a lot of people are in relationships where the partner says that they're too much, they're too much, they're too much. But in reality, the person is just living their best life and being themselves. The other person is the one that hasn't stepped up. Because the reality here is that if people see you as too much, is because they aren't enough. Because the true people that truly care about you are going to be in the same wavelength as you. They're going to be in the same energy as you. And I can tell you that much because I am kind of like an ambivert. I kind of go in between being an introvert and an extrovert. And my sister, she's more of an extrovert. She likes to go and see places. She likes talking to people, but she has a social battery as well. She also kind of like gets to a moment where she needs to shut off. I know for a fact that if I suddenly just start dancing in the middle of a mall because I'm excited because I'm eating an ice cream that tastes really good, she's just going to be besides me, just dancing away as well. Because we are both in a similar wavelength. We both act and feel and react to each other and bounce off of each other. Now, if you're around people that don't have the same way of thinking as you, and they don't have the same way of expressing themselves, there could be two ways that this could go. You either get along really well and you respect each other, or if you're starting to point fingers, then it's not going to work. And in those cases, you have to reevaluate. And also, we need to understand that there's a thing called our inner critic and our inner nurturer. What do I mean by that? The inner critic is going to be the part of you that is going to be pointing the finger at you constantly. The one that is going to just hurt you and say, no, 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 you don't dress that. You don't do that. You don't do that thing that way. No, 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 no. The inner nurturer, that will be the one that is going to give you love. You look so beautiful today. You have done such a good job. You are so hardworking. And it's not like in an arrogant type of way. It's almost like your inner mother, your inner like motherly person, the one that will like make you feel good and cozy, you know? And we both have those sides. But unfortunately, the critic tends to have a louder voice. So it's time for us to lower the volume. So we're going to start with a tip. Whose voice are you listening inside of your head? Is it your parent, a teacher, a friend? If there are negative self talks, list 3 of them and challenges them. What I mean by that is if you had a teacher telling you that you are not good enough for whatever thing you're studying on, go ahead and journal or tell it in your head why they are wrong. And do that for all the bad voices that you listen in your head. Write them down, and if you like, you can comment down below what you told them and how you challenged them. So, what's really holding you back? Negative self talk, past experiences, social comparison, especially online, perfectionism. There's so many things that we are just holding on to that aren't ours, that we didn't told ourselves. We didn't look in the mirror and start pointing our finger. Someone pointing the finger first. So who is that is telling you that you aren't worthy? Who's telling you that you aren't good enough? I can tell you right now, I had so many people that I had to go down the list when I started going through this. People that had told me I wasn't good enough. People told me that I should lower myself, that I should not have the personality that I do. So many times I had to struggle at looking at myself in the mirror because of someone else's idea of me, because of someone else's opinion of me. So write it down. All of the beliefs, all of the people, all the little things that aren't yours, that it wasn't you that started with the thought. So, one thing that we're going to use is called the confidence ladder. Step 1, do something slightly uncomfortable. Yeah. For example, one thing that I was really comfortable with or uncomfortable with was to undress in front of a mirror. I had a hard time with it because I hadn't had any boyfriends. I was struggling with my body. Every single time that I went to the beach, I was as covered as humanly possible. I had a hard time with my body. I didn't even wear tight clothes. All the clothes that I wore were baggy clothes. I wanted to hide underneath the sack of potato type of clothes. And then what I did, I tried to remove articles of clothing in front of the mirror, looking at myself a little more naked each and every time. And I repeated it and repeated it and repeated it until it just became normal. Looking at myself getting undressed in the mirror. It just became normal. And then I went up in a higher challenge. Okay, so I feel normal undressing. So now let's see tighter clothes. So I started to add a belt or to have a more figure hugging thing or being tighter on the arms or tighter on the waist or tighter on whatever. And it gradually went from me wearing clothes that made me look like a sack of potato to me being confident when I wore a pair of jeans. I never wore jeans in my life. I spent 29 years of my life not putting on a pair of jeans. Why? One, I never figured out the cut that I liked. Two, I didn't want something figure hugging and being close to my body. And three, I thought it would make me look worse because I had people telling me that I was too fat to look pretty, and I internalized it and made it as an opinion of myself. When in reality, it was just someone else's opinion of me, not my own. So now, the confidence code, step by step guide. Shall we? And I'm going to be looking over here so that I don't get lost. So, let's go ahead. Step 1, a self-awareness audit. What do I mean by that? A journal prompt for you, my dearie. What makes me feel small? How do you do that? You list situations that shrink your energy. So what you're going to do is create a list of things that don't make you feel good. All the things that you've heard, that you've seen, that you felt, that have been wrote about you, things that you've seen on social media that made you feel down, things that your family has said that made you feel down, teachers, whomever, whatever is making you feel small, that makes you feel not yourself, list them. Create a list. After that, we'll go on to step 2. We're going to go ahead and do a body language reset. How are we doing a body language reset? You're going to stand tall. You're going to take up space, even if you don't feel like it. How do you do that? One example that I like to give is people when they do presentations. They are nervous because they need to present something, but at the same time, they feel confident because they know what they're talking about, because they have been working on the presentation for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, or even more. So how can you remove that stress and that adrenaline and that fear of presenting? By just accepting the fact that you're not going to exacerbate any errors that you do. By you going and stepping into that room and doing the presentation and standing tall and feeling good and talking with a good and clear voice and taking up the space, you are allowing yourself to actually step into the energy of confidence. Because believe me, and I had to try this out for myself, I have a class called Health Communication. One of the things that I didn't know that I could do is when I do, presentations, that I could walk around. I never thought to walk around. You want to know why? Because in school, I was programmed to go into the front of the class, to sit all straight as if I just swallowed a fork and just about whatever I was talking about. Just blabbing into the classroom. And then I had to find myself presenting it and having to walk around, having to change the ways and the speeds and how I do things. And that was a shock. A shock. I could not understand. My brain just froze. Was the idea of grabbing the clicker thingy of the slideshow and being able to walk around the room and having to give different velocities and different flares to my voice and doing all kinds of things like that. It was insane because I was doing it in my podcast because I was honest and I was letting it out naturally. But the idea of doing it in a school presentation, oh Lord, no, 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 no. My body was like, no, 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 no. I had to unlearn the fact that I can do that. I had the ability to do it if I wanted to. I was just simply programmed originally the opposite way. And you can do that with anything. A school presentation, the way that you go ahead and you go to work, the way that you step up to your family and you allow yourself to not be stepped over when you do a conversation. You can do all of that in any situation. Any situation. So now let's go on to step 3. So step 3 is do the scary thing. Do the thing that scares the living hell out of you. Oh, it is literally exposure therapy. That's what I'm talking about. Exposure therapy. Just doing small, bold things that helps you build up your inner trust. So pick one uncomfortable but aligned thing. What I mean by that is, let's imagine that one of your biggest hurdles is at your job to write your emails and you struggle to respond back when they're being quite annoying. Guess what? Not only should you go ahead and write what you should write, but go ahead and at the end of it, do a little witty, soft comment about the fact that they're being annoying. You don't have to say that they're annoying. I really love when I research like how to tell someone you're annoyed without telling them that you're annoyed. Like Google it, you know? And believe me, you're going to find a list of ways that you can do that. Pick one and send it. Believe me when I tell you that that person is going to start being a little less annoying next time that they send you an email. And you start by doing that each and every time. And slowly, you're going to be able to have what we call a quote unquote comeback to your coworkers when they're trying to dip their toes too much into your private life or assuming that you don't have boundaries. Because that also will start getting built as you gain more self-trust. Let's go on to step 4. Reframe the narrative. Turn the I can't into I'm learning to. Turn the I can't do this to I am learning how. The I don't know this to I'm going to discover it. The I'm not sure with I'm going to find out. Believe it or not, but sometimes our lack of confidence, aka our lack of self-trust, is because we might not just know enough. And if we don't know enough, we don't have an opinion to give. One big example that I see is commentators going on TV talking about topics that they don't know nothing about. And then they're being asked questions that should be an expert actually talking about it, not just a random commentator. And then they just say the most ridiculous things. Why? Because they don't know what they're talking about. But they're going to fake confidence because they're on national television and they got to fake that they know their stuff and they don't know their stuff. They don't know anything. But they're going to pretend that they do. And that's how they get away with it. But not only can you do the same, you can fake confidence and fake the idea of who you are and who you're not by putting on a facade, but you can change the narrative of you not knowing to you learning. One example of that is me. I am a nutrition student. I don't know everything about nutrition. I'm not going to assume that I do. So I will only speak of the things that I know about. I've had colleagues of mine and people around me saying, "Can you plan my diet?" No, I'm not going to plan a diet. I could give you some pointers of the things that I know, but I'm not going to give you a step-by-step guide on your diet because I'm not your doctor. I can't prescribe anything. I don't know everything. I'm in my first year. I haven't even finished the first year. So if I haven't finished the first year and I don't even have the capability yet, how can I advise you? What I can do is, according to what I know, tell you, hey, maybe you should eat more vegetables if you don't eat enough. Maybe you should follow the circle of the food. Maybe you should do the plate method. Maybe you should try this. Maybe you should research that. Hey, I found this article that maybe could work for you. Go ahead and read it. That's what I can do, and that's what I have confidence in. I'm not going to go ahead and tell a person to eat steak and then maybe they may be allergic to steak or maybe they don't like steak or whatever. I'm not going to assume a role that I don't know. But instead of saying I can't help you, I'm going to say, hey, I will try to advise you on what I know. I have shifted the narrative from the I can't to I'm going to try. Step number 5, we are going to keep a confidence archive. What does that mean? Keep a note of the wins, the compliments, the achievements, and reflect on them. What I mean by that is if you dress something that you feel good in, and then you walk out your pretty little door, and a person compliments you, later on in your diary or in a notebook or in a journal or even on your phone, write on the list where you're going to say, day X, Y, and Z. This old lady on my street complimented my outfit and I felt great. Or my colleague that keeps harassing me, I wrote an email and at the end of it, I wrote a line that when he responded back to me, he respected me more on the next email. Do a list of all the wins, all the compliments, all the little things that have improved your confidence. Because then when you are in a low day and you need a little boost, you go ahead and grab that list and you go ahead and read it. And you're going to have a big smile on your face because I know for a fact you're going to remember exactly how it happened. It's going to make you remember who you are, who you trust, and who do you trust? Yourself. Yes, because that's who you should trust. The whole point of confidence is self-trust. Another thing is that confidence grows from action. You shouldn't be waiting for the day that you're ready to step into the image of yourself. A good thing that you can do, because I have done for myself, is envision the vision of you that is confident. If you were to imagine yourself as this confident, embodied person, how would she be? Would she have her hair a certain way? Would she dress a certain way? Would she act a certain way? Would she have a certain job, a certain career, a certain way of holding herself? And then step into it. Dress the way that you think that you should dress to be confident. Put your hair, put your makeup, put how you act, how you feel. Step into it. Step into that energy. Go on Pinterest. Do a mood board. I love the whole shtick of Pinterest because Pinterest is like the Google search image, but a little better. Because I love to just go and browse. Like today, I want to be old money style. Tomorrow, I want to be dark academia. There's even people that do these trends where they're like, oh, type your name and put the word aesthetic and see what pops up. That is so fun to do for you to experiment. Experiment with your hair. Curl your hair today. Straighten it tomorrow. Try a new pair of pants that you haven't worn in years. Go ahead and do a challenge where you spend a whole day where each person that passes by you say good morning or good afternoon. Go to the supermarket and ask how the day is going to the person attending you. And that, believe it or not, is little micro challenges that you can do to make you understand that the world is not against you. The world is in your side and wants to see you grow because the universe ain't stopping anyone from stepping into their true selves. So your power is a practice. It's not a one-time thing. It's not a watch a YouTube video and be done with it. It's not a let me try a 30-day challenge and be done with it. It is something that you have to cultivate. It's something that you have to build, that you have to keep on pursuing. So, how can we do so that we can continue building it? Through daily habits, through daily things that you do. You have to just accept that sometimes you're going to be a little higher or a little lower because things fluctuate. What matters in the end is understanding that your confidence, your self trust in yourself is innately being built every day. What you feel like today you have to learn, tomorrow could be an innate thing. And the reality here is that you will have days where you're going to feel really low. Your self esteem is going to be down. You're going to be sick. You're going to be tired. And then there's going to be days where you're going to wake up and feel like everything's fine. The sun is shining. I drank my matcha. My hair went fine. My makeup went fine. My clothing look great. But guess what? You could dress all you want. You could have an idea of what you want. You could mask it and change your personality all you want. But if you don't have self-trust, you don't have confidence. You have to trust in the fact that you have the capabilities of being whoever you want to be, of stepping into the energy of who you are, of being completely and truly yourself. Because that's the whole point. Because why should we spend our lives going through the motions and living every day just blah, just blase, when we could just live our lives as fully and honestly as we humanly can? We are so much more than just an opinion of someone else. We are who we are, and we have our own stories, and we have our own ways of seeing the world, and our own ways of being and seeing and feeling. So let us step into the energy of who we are and who we deserve to stand as. And if this resonated with you, and if you're taking the steps, I hope that you enjoyed this. And I hope that you enjoyed the kind of vibes that this is. Just to remind you again, my name is Karina. I am a nutrition student and a part time worker, and I love to do content to be able to connect with you and bring you a little sprinkle of magic as I go. This is my podcast, That Girl Magik, and I hope that you enjoyed every single minute of it. I'm going to leave my socials down below. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know how you felt about this step-by-step guide. I see you next time on the next Tuesday. Stay safe, stay beautiful, and stay magical. Bye-bye.